if any of you have ever heard me speak before, I'm sure you realize that I've been very frustrated and disappointed with our legislature and our governor. And so this frustration, I decided today I would approach this in a little different way. And so I sat down and I comprised a list, a top 10 list of my most frustrating moments with the Keystone XL debacle. Number 10 on the list is when I contacted the governor's office asking him for help and information because we had received a letter from TransCanada threatening to take our property through eminent domain. He sent me back a nice colored brochure telling me about the pipeline. Number 9 on the list was attending my county, Merritt County Board meeting after they had agreed to sign a letter of support for the Keystone XL pipeline. When we got out there, we found out they did not have a clue what they were supporting. They knew nothing about the pipeline. And their only source, the one and only source of information, was Mr. Jeff Rao, TransCanada's representative. Number 8 on my frustrating list is when we turned in a complaint, myself and several other landowners, to the Attorney General's office, complaining about the treatment we had received from TransCanada, how they had bullied us and tried to intimidate us, and that meeting resulted in no action whatsoever. Number 7 on my list was watching the governor and the legislature continually duck their responsibility to pass some critically needed pipeline siting and regulatory legislation, and then promptly exempting TransCanada from the regulations that were passed in the special session. Number 6, and this is probably one of my favorites, really. This is a good one. This was hearing Senator Carlson explain to landowners that the threatening letters they had gotten from TransCanada were really just informational letters. And that we should really be grateful because TransCanada was just giving us an advance notice of what they were going to do to us. That's honest to God truth. Number 5 on my list, and this one is, to me, was totally outrageous, was seeing my fellow Nebraskans being reduced to tears after being mocked and belittled by Senator McCoy and other committee members when these good citizens went to testify before the Natural Resource Committee. This should not be happening in our state. Number 4 on my list was watching Senator Christensen as he introduced a bill that would legalize trespassing for companies like TransCanada so they could come on to your property and do survey work without your consent. And thank God we had enough people there that he withdrew the bill right there at the hearing. Number 3 on my list, and this was a big one, was watching Nebraska lawmakers throw the landowners of Nebraska under the bus with the passage of LB 1161. Yes. Number 2 on my list was witnessing the lack of attendance of our elected officials at any of the hearings that the State Department or the DEQ held here in Nebraska. They're making critical issues affecting our livelihoods, and yet they can't take the time to come out and listen to what we have to say about it. that's negligence of duty right there. Okay, and now we're down to my number one frustrating thing. I'm sure some of you will agree with me on this one. And that is the number one frustrating thing is listening to Lee Terry. I did have a little bit more of that, but
Enough said, right there.
yeah, that's enough said. I did the rest of it says run his jawbone. So anyhow, well, you know, I did think a little bit about trying to put together a top 10 list of gratifying experiences. One for me, and I'm sure for all of you, has been watching all the efforts by TransCanada and the politicians to short circuit the process, and every time they've done it, they shot themselves right in the foot, and it's delayed their project even more. And that is gratifying.